What's up, guys? I finished the books. They're in place. All across the bottom shelf. All across. I laid two boards, the exact kind of boards that are sitting up there right now. I laid them down on the floor back there, creating the bottom platform for where all the books were going to go, and we set up every single book. I realized originally the idea for doing this was to start talking about every single item as it went into the collection, but damn, it makes the process of setting the room up very, 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 very slow. So I decided that I had to step away from that idea a little bit and just talk about things as we add them once we get to a certain point. And the bottom shelf, I had to install it. I was getting tired of what I was having to do in order to film in this room. There was literally a wall of books stacked all the way up to like this level while you're standing up. Like, it was crazy the amount of crap that was sitting over there, and it was getting to be a pain. Also, you may notice gots the hat. Why do I gots the hat? Because when you gots the bald head, you tend to run into a problem where if you're outside, like I was today, you get sunburn head. So, had to buy a hat. So what's this video about? What are we actually here to talk about? Because that's not what we're here to talk about. I just figured I would bring it up. We're here to talk about these. These are pretty cool. So now it's time for the question. What are these? These are pretty cool. These are the Eastman and Laird Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ninja Elite series. They are each, all four turtles, with the original red bandanas. These are a pretty solid collection, and I'm loving these boxes. I'm going to keep at least one of these boxes. You know me, I open my figures, but yeah, we have Leonardo in red. We have Donatello in red. I love these. I love these. These are based on the original comic book designs, so they're based on this era of the comic books. Literally, if I remember right, this is like one of the first panels where they were fighting the purple dragons in the first book. Color issue. There were the color issues that came out later on. We got Michelangelo in red, which also I'm very happy for. And of course, because of course we do, we have Raphael in red. I got all of these. They all look really cool. They've all got these like sewer lid things that they come with in terms of stands. I kind of like the design, the look of their weapons and everything. I'm excited to see what these guys look like. Let's open one up. Okay, so I opened one up. The packaging is pretty cool. This is pretty neat. I don't think that I'm gonna. I might keep one of them. Maybe if I open it up and cut it and do it the right way, this could be something cool in terms of the background for the stage we're building. So I don't know. I'll make a decision on this. This is pretty neat, but he of course came with nothing too fancy. Two katanas. They're just gray. And he comes with this little sewer lid that he can stand on, which is pretty cool. Has his name and whatnot. And then here he is. This is Leonardo. He's the one that we unboxed because that's my favorite turtle. Now, this is back with the red bandana. It's the original idea. The only thing they don't have is he doesn't have the tail. I don't think that I'm mad about that, honestly. I don't think that it bothers me that he doesn't have a tail. His movement is pretty crazy. So his mid-shell here moves, and then his legs move pretty damn well, and he's got bends above and below this kneecap, and then his feet have bend here and whatnot, and then each of his toes have individual bends. So that's pretty crazy, the amount of articulation in there. I don't like, if I have to complain about something, I'm used to the bottom of the feet having something on them, but not the side. I don't like the fact that he has this number on him. I really don't like that. His fingers move. And so does his thumb. And it's a little rough the first time you move them. I was actually worried about it. The wrist only moves this way, though. It doesn't go in and out, but there's a bend at each point of the elbow for right there and for right there. And then, of course, his arms do this, and then he has the full turnabout here, and he has the up and down swivel motion and whatnot. His shell is pretty solid. I would have liked to have seen some battle damage to differentiate them. I have a feeling that all 4 of these turtles are the exact same body with slightly different heads, which, if you remember right, that was true for the turtles that we got as well when we were kids. The first turtles that I remember getting, and of course, they were the first turtles that were released, because I was one of the Wave 1 kids that actually got those first turtles. They had the really hard heads, and one of them was closed-mouthed. One of them had teeth on this side, the other had the teeth on this side, and the other had the teeth on both sides because they had the beak and it came down. I like these. I do. I'm not going to open all of them right here, but I think we have the same kind of thing right here. So Leonardo has a little bit of teeth showing on this side. This side. And then, when we go to Donatello, we have something similar. He has teeth, but there are more teeth. You see more of his teeth. Then, let's see. Raph has both parts showing, so you get an idea of both of his teeth. Both, the left and right side, not both of his teeth. And then Mikey is the one that has a closed mouth. I don't know if that's true. I would have to dig out my old turtles if that's taken from the original design. But it could be. I tend to remember that was the same idea with the other turtles that I remember the first wave of turtles. One of them had the closed mouth. One of them had teeth. So, yeah, that's pretty solid. Let's, before I move on here, I want to put this in his hand, because this is a different kind of thing that I haven't encountered, where the fingers move, and he's going to have to actually grip this thing like he grips this thing for real. And wow, this seems awkward. Okay, so we're going to put his thumb down. This is crazy. His thumb's going to go down, and then we're going to create the bend around the sword. Oh, wow. Little awkward, not going to lie. This is really difficult. Might not be a complete fan of the hand design. Oh, well, the thumb doesn't just move up and down. It moves kind of a left and right as well. So maybe you're meant to close the thumb up around the edge here. Yeah, super awkward. Okay, as far as I could tell, that's how the sword goes in there. And it was a bit of a pain to get it in there. It's in there now. I wouldn't say that it's solid necessarily, but maybe if I messed with it a little bit longer, it's awkward. Having the hand be like that is cool, but wow. And I'm going to say that there's another problem that I have with the figures. Notice his back. They all have the same belt. Now, this was true of the original Turtles. As you can see on the back here, they all had the same belts. So this is accurate. It's very accurate. But that means that unlike our Turtles, which had the two straps here so you could put the swords on his back, he didn't have that. He either has to hold the sword or not hold the sword. And that is it. Those are the only two options that he has. Hold the sword or don't hold the sword. So if I'm going to get these weapons in their hands, I'm going to have to mess with them a bit. And these are good-sized turtles. I mean, this guy is good size. I mean, I don't even know if you get a full-scale idea. You know what? Let me go grab the old turtles and really give you an idea here. I'm going to go grab one of them. Okay, so here's my comic book Leo. This is my other comic book Leo that I picked up a long time ago. I only bought one of these turtles, and it was Comic Leo. Here's Comic Leo from this, I believe this is called the Ninja Elite Collection. Ninja Elite series. For reference, so he's easily an entire head bigger than that collection. And if we go back even further to the original Leonardo, yes, that is still the belt. That is still his brownish color. That's the hard head. It's not the second release. I'm going to have to get a second release for the Michelangelo. Though I've heard, see, I lost my original Michelangelo. But I have heard that when they re-released all these, that now you can get them again and they're re-released in their original form, so they have the hard heads again. So I can replace the Michelangelo. I didn't want to ever have to do that, but I'm going to have to. He's the only one that for some reason didn't make the move. I cannot find him. So there's that. There's that. Wow. Wow. It's going to take a turtle standing on top of another turtle's head to equal this turtle. Now, that also makes me feel like the sword maybe isn't actually as big as I feel it should be. I mean, I guess this is right. This is a decent-sized katana. But I can't help but feel like it could have been a little bit bigger because of his size. He's big. Once we get him on the shelf, it looks like the back of his feet are what have the holes in them. And then the front will have the Leonardo, and he'll be able to stand on the sewer cover. And then I get the swords on there. And then I get all four of them. All four of them are going to go back on the shelf back there. This is also becoming a bit of an issue, is I have to find a place to put them. I think I'm going to move around the X-Men a little bit, because that's meant to be kind of a Marvel shelf. And if I'm not mistaken, once I get past the X-Men, I don't have an extreme amount of Marvel characters. I have some Spider-Man stuff, and then I have some, I'm thinking, I have some Spider-Man stuff that still has to go up there, and I have maybe 2 or 3 Daredevil figures, something like that. So the Marvel shelf is going to have space if I move the X-Men back over in this direction, and then the Turtles can stand over to the far in this direction, and I think it'll be fine. But these guys are big. Like, bigger than I was expecting. But they're pretty cool. Anyways, these are now going to be added to the shelf. And you know what? I guess I like them for what they're worth. They're pretty cool figures. But I do have a couple of complaints with them. One, they're original designs, but they don't have the tails. See the tails? They had tails. From what I understand, part of the redesign, getting rid of the tail, was because it somewhat looked phallic, and that was a problem. So that's a thing. And then, so they don't have the tails, but like, when our Turtles came out, our Turtles didn't have tails. So that's not that big of a deal, in all honesty. Who really cares that much? If I have to make, I like the fact that they all have the red bandanas. I prefer that. I like that a lot. I actually think that that's something that they probably shouldn't have left behind, or it should be incorporated more into the series nowadays when they do series and whatnot, to kind of showcase that this is the way it was, and kind of give ideas, even if it's a callback, you know, like, we know that Daredevil is normally in red, or nowadays like that black suit, but like, it's still kind of cool to know that he had the yellow. There's a comic book line called Daredevil Yellow, and I kind of like that throwback. I really feel like the red bandanas should be represented a little bit more, and they're not. And I feel like the weapons aren't that big, and I don't know if I'm a big fan of the hand. I'm almost feeling like this hand would have been better as just a normal action figure hand, because now I close up his hand, and then I'm like, here's a sword, and like, if I do get it in there, turn it, pull this down, it's really awkward. Okay, I think I've got it. I think you've got to close the bottom in a little further and let this one stay open a bit and then wrap the thumb around. I mean, it's like a real hand, and it's really awkward, and the sword isn't that big, so it looks a little funny on him, and more than likely I'm just going to have Leo kind of holding the swords like out or whatever, or I don't know. I don't know what kind of pose I'm going to take with Leo here. I don't know what he's going to be like when he's up there, but yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool figures, but different figures, definitely. And I'm going to open up every single one of them. And I don't think this video needs to go on any further. I don't need to necessarily review every single turtle. I just kind of wanted to get them out there. I will make slight detail comments. I think that his bow staff looks good. It's just brown. And I can paint the middle if I really want to, and it looks solid. He looks like the exact same design as this, so that's not a bad thing. I am a little curious if they got one bigger than the other, but I have a feeling that they're all just one sculpt of turtle, and then they switched out the heads. The bow staff looks like it's big enough. That's a plus for him. And with two hands, maybe he could take easier poses. Michelangelo, I have to point out something that is pretty cool, is that these are chains. So that's kind of neat, but also not kind of neat, because it makes me wonder if those are going to be really hard to put in his hands. Now that I've seen that the swords are quite hard to put in their hands. So Michelangelo may have a problem with the fact that he has these chains. And I think they're all the same green. That's not a huge deal. But I guess it depends on how you feel about it. In the original Turtles, when they did finally do color books, when they went back and recolored them, the Turtles are all the same green. In modern continuities, they seem to have kind of stepped away from that, and they do a lot more different greens. Like there's one that's a darker brown, there's one that's really light. If I'm not mistaken, it depends on which run of figures you're talking about, but each one is a little different. This guy has a little bit of brown in him, but he's still more or less just green. And then the two lighter turtles are Raph and Mike, if I remember right. And I think Don is the really dark turtle in our original collection. I think he's like dark, like to the point of almost being brown. The size, I'm curious if I'm going to be able to get them in his hands the way I want, because as you could tell, the way he held the size, I'm really wanting something like that where he can hold them and have them down in between his fingers. That might be possible because of the way that these hands work, but I don't know. That's just about everything I have to say about this collection of figures. I got the entire set. This was a while back that I got it, but it was a matter of setting up the shelves and everything before I started opening some stuff. Like, I have Joes that still need to be opened and whatnot and get them on the shelf. And so, yeah, that's all this video was, guys. I just wanted to talk over this Ninja Elite series and say whether or not it was kind of worth it. I think these were much more expensive. When I picked them up, they were on clearance down to $25 a piece, and I think they may have been as high as $40 a piece back when they first came out. I'm not going to quote that necessarily and give a guarantee, but I have a feeling they were. I can't remember necessarily, though. Regardless, man, was it worth it? I'm really fighting myself on this one. I'd say it was. I'd say it was worth it. I've been a huge Ninja Turtles fan for years. I have both of the Ultimate collections. I have a bunch of random comics that I'm getting rid of a lot of them, actually. But I have a lot of the toys. I was there back when the big craze hit. I have all of the original series. I have all of the Nickelodeon series, the CGI one that came out, and I've watched them. I've watched them multiple times. I've both had my ups and downs where I absolutely love the Turtles, and then I kind of feel like some of the old material is just didn't age right for me, and then I go back and there's like a nostalgia feeling, and sometimes I reanalyze it and I'm like, this was kind of neat for its time, and yada yada. I go back and forth with the original series that we grew up on all the time. I'm like, I love this. I love this series. I love that it's so goofy and so this and that. And then I go back and I look at it and I'm like, it's so dumb. Like, they weren't allowed to use their weapons and there was so many problems with it. And so I fight with myself about my love for the Turtles all the time. I'm still getting the books as they come out. They're one of the few comics that I still pick up. My comic book list has dwindled greatly. I'm not too big into DC right now. I'm not too big into Marvel right now. I'm just kind of picking and choosing the things that I care to keep up with, and my comic list has dropped drastically, but I still get the Ninja Turtle comic as it comes out, along with my Red Sonja and a couple of other books here and there. A Wonder Woman being one of those books. And so, yeah. That's it. That's as much as we could possibly drag this episode out. I actually think it went longer than it needed to go. All I meant to do was open him up and whatnot and talk about a couple of pros, a couple of cons. Not sure I'm in love with the hands, but the rest of him is pretty solid. I'm looking forward to seeing how I can get them up there on the shelf and what they'll end up looking like. Let me get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from